Leadership does not create character flaws. Instead, leadership reveals them. Happy New Day 2026 and welcome to the 10 Commandments of Leadership. This is where we bring together two main objectives. Number one, we educate, equip, and empower emerging leaders with God-thought leadership. And number two, we present current events and newsmakers in the light of best practices from the Bible. Got it? Okay. In fact, in addition to calling this the 10 Commandments of Leadership podcast, for this week, let's call it the Leadership, Lust, and the LMD Factor Week. The Leadership, Lust, and LMD Factor Week. Why? Well, Thursday and Friday of this week, the attention of the sports world will be on the college football playoffs semifinal contest between number 10 Miami against number 6 Ole Miss and number 5 Oregon against number 1 Indiana. And while we're watching who wins that championship, for this week, let's talk about what destroys leaders. Not what causes one to win championships, but what destroys leaders. And while our focus this week is on college football playoffs and the semifinal contest, it was only last month that our focus in college football was in a whole nother different direction. For example, on December 10, the University of Michigan fired head football coach Sherrone Moore for what the university described as an inappropriate relationship with a staff member. An inappropriate relationship with a staff member. Well, headlines followed, opinions multiplied, and allegations flew. But before we rush to judgment, we as emerging leaders should pause, because moments like this are not just news stories, they're actually mirrors. Actually mirrors. One of the most important lessons in leadership that I have ever learned came from a sermon that I almost ignored. It was on October 14th, 2000. The preacher was a Dr. Rupert Bushner Sr., and he warned us, leadership magnifies defects. What you don't get out now will come out later. Leadership magnifies defects. What you don't get out now will come out later. At first, I thought that message was for someone else. Later, I realized that it was for me. Why? Because 8 months after hearing that sermon, while serving in my first senior leadership role in my organization, I was fired. And I was fired not because leadership created my flaws. No. I was fired because my leadership exposed my flaws. You see, leadership doesn't make us different people. Leadership makes us more visible people and more vulnerable people. Whatever is unresolved, unmanaged, or hidden gets amplified by position, platform, and pressure. I now call this the LMD factor. Leadership magnifies defects. Leadership magnifies defects. The problem is not that leaders are worse than others. The problem is that leadership removes the cover. That's why public falls disturb us so deeply. Not because we're shocked by sin, but because we recognize ourselves in the mirror. Leadership didn't cause the flaw. Again, leadership simply revealed it. And here's the uncomfortable truth. if leadership exposes what we hide, then maturity means dealing with those things before leadership does it for us. Let me say that again. If leadership exposes what we hide, then maturity means dealing with those things before they expose us. Leadership magnifies defects once again. Leadership magnifies defects. So my question to you is, what are you allowing God to deal with in you, right now? What are you allowing God to deal with that is in you right now? Hey, thanks for joining us this afternoon. If this message this afternoon resonates with you, then please like, share, or subscribe to this channel, and I will look to see you on tomorrow as we continue our leadership journey of the leadership, lust, and the